Have you ever had that awkward moment when the bill comes at a restaurant abroad and you just freeze? Tipping can be super confusing when you're traveling. Getting it right is a great way to show respect, but the rules can change so much from place to place. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how tipping works in a few key English-speaking countries. So, here's our game plan. We'll start with a general guide for travelers, then we'll dive into the specifics for the USA, the UK, and then Canada and Australia. And to finish up, we'll go over some really simple rules to help you remember it all. All right, let's start with a big question, the one every traveler asks themselves when that little piece of paper hits the table. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've had a great meal, you're feeling good, the bill arrives, and you just pause. Do I tip? How much? It's a moment of uncertainty for so many of us when we're in a new place. And here's the thing, there's no single easy answer. Tipping culture is completely different from country to country, so you really have to know the local expectations. What's considered totally normal in one place might be unusual, or maybe even a little impolite in another. Let's head to our first destination, the United States. Now, this is a place where tipping is a very, very established and expected part of the culture. In the United States, when you're tipping in a restaurant, the expectation is pretty specific. It's usual to leave 15 to 20% of the total bill as a tip for your server. And there's a really clear reason for this. And here's the why behind that number. In the US, tipping is expected in restaurants because many waiters get a pretty low base salary. They really depend on those tips as a core part of their income. So that tip isn't just a little thank you bonus. For them, it's a vital part of their wages. All right, let's hop across the Atlantic to the United Kingdom, where the approach is a bit different. Tipping is still common here, but the rules are definitely less strict. In the UK, the number you're more likely to see is between 10 and 12.5%. But you might not even have to do the math yourself. And that brings us to a really important term you've got to know. Before you pay, always check your bill. In a lot of UK restaurants, a service charge might already be included. This is basically a fee for the service you got, and it's already part of your total. So if you see that, no extra tip is needed. So what do you do if you check the bill and nope, no mention of a service charge? Well, the rule is pretty simple. If service is not included, leaving around 10% is polite and definitely appreciated. Okay, next up, we're going to look at two countries at once, Canada and Australia. We're putting them together because their approach to tipping is actually quite similar. The key thing to remember here is that it's all a bit more relaxed. In Canada and Australia, tipping is normal in restaurants, but it's generally less of a strict expectation than what you'd find in the United States. It's for sure appreciated, but that cultural pressure just isn't as strong. Okay, that was a lot of percentages and different places to keep track of. So let's wrap this all up with a simple guide to help you remember the most important rules no matter where you find yourself. First, the do's. Always, and I mean always, check if a service charge is included on your bill. Do tip in restaurants when it's appropriate for that country. For taxis, a nice polite gesture is to just round up the fare. And my personal favorite tip, just look around and see what the local people do. It's the best guide you could ask for. And now the don'ts. Don't just assume the rules are the same everywhere. We've just seen how much they can change. Don't forget to check that bill for a service charge. And most importantly, don't feel embarrassed about asking. If you're not sure, a polite question is always okay. You know, at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. Learning these little rules isn't just about money. It's about moving through a new place with courtesy. Understanding the local customs shows respect, and honestly, it just helps you have a smoother, more enjoyable trip. So, to leave you with a final thought, think about your own home country. Is tipping a big deal there? And how do the customs you know compare to what we've just talked about? It's pretty fascinating how this one small act can be so different all around the world.